Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Holocaust Diaries. I'm your host, Christian, and today we will be discussing the book, The Diary of Anne Frank, with none other than Anne's father, Otto Frank. In fact, we are going to call him up right now. Hello, is this Mr. Otto Frank?
Yes, it's me. I'm here.
Hello, Mr. Frank.
How you been?
We are fine. I am fine. And today we are here about your daughter.
Oh, yes. Little Anne. She's just our little ray of sunshine.
She was?
She was. Sorry, I just haven't quite gotten over
I understand.
the incident.
I'm sorry. I understand. So, on behalf of one of our listeners, Kaylin Wolfe, from Dublin, Ireland, I'm going to ask you some questions. I want you to answer them to the best of your ability.
Sure thing.
Great. So we'll start with a question. What was your job like?
Well, when I first began, I worked in the banking industry. Then I was invited to an internship in New York in the newly opened Macy's department store. Then, after World War I, I took over the family bank that my little brother had been running terribly. After that, I established two companies of my own, which is where I work now.
That's very interesting. I didn't know that Macy's was around in the early 1900s. Alright, our second question is, whom and when did you marry, and when did you have children?
Well, my wife was named Edith, and I married her in 1925. In 1926, she gave birth to her first daughter, Margaret. In 1929, our second daughter, Anne, was born. She seemed to be the subject of this episode?
Yes, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for now. After the break, we'll talk about your relationship with Anne and her final days.
Sounds good.
Thanks, and we'll see you after the break.
Yes?
Hello, we are from the Nazi Party of Germany, and we are here to take you away.
But why? Are Nazis invading your home? Then get Nazi Block, the new revolution in Nazi protection. Installing it is simple. Put it on your door and flip the switch. All Nazis who come near your home will feel a terrible sense of dread about what lies inside your house. The Nazi Block is only 550 florins, and for an extra 50 florins, you can get Nazi Block Deluxe, which increases the power and makes all evil people walk away. The Nazi Block is not protected against fearful bombing of houses. Get yours today!
Welcome back to the Holocaust Diaries. I'm your host, Christian, and we have a special guest with us, Otto Frank. Before the break, we are questioning him on behalf of one of our listeners, Kaylin Wolfe from Dublin, Ireland. We talked about your wife and when you married and had kids, but now let's talk about Anne and your relationship with her.
Sounds good.
Great! So our first question is, in the novel, it says that Anne adored you much more than Margaret or her mother. Can you explain why that is?
Well, it seemed that Anne's relationship with her mother was testy, because her mother yelled at her a lot. She didn't like Margaret, probably because they were sisters, and sisters are just like that. But me, I think that she adored me. I was always there for her, and I always heard her prayers at night, and I loved her to death. The thing is, her mother was always like that too. And when she was a little bit older, I think she was being ungrateful towards her mother.
Was it maybe because you were a man, being protective of his daughter?
Possibly. I noticed that a lot of young girls have special relationships with their fathers. That might be one reason.
That's very interesting. Our next question is actually from Edward Lowry of Hong Kong, China. This is his only question. What did it feel like when you found your two daughters and your wife dead?
It felt like I didn't feel anymore. The Gestapo raided our secret annex, and we were sent to a prison. Margaret and Anne were taken to a prison camp, and I was separated from my wife. I knew that something bad was going to happen. I just didn't know what. When I was let out of prison to find that all the members of my family were dead, I could barely contain myself. I wanted to die and live with them forever. Of course, eventually I moved on and remarried. But I will never forget my original family and what happened when they died.
That's very moving. Thank you so much. We have time for one more question, also from Kaylin. How did your life move on after the war?
Well, my secretary found Anne's diary in the annex and gave it to me. In an attempt to make the world aware, I published it. As I said before, I was remarried to a fellow survivor. We moved to Switzerland and lived there for the rest of our lives.
Thank you so much, Otto. It was a pleasure having you here with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Alright, viewers, this concludes our episode of the Holocaust Diaries. Tune in tomorrow for a special episode with Helene Melanie Label. I'm Christian, signing off. Bye.